They're always with guests, and I'm so lucky during this time. Obviously, I'm not having any in-studio guests. So everything's going to be on the phone. And today I'm crazy enough to actually have booked two guests. So we're going to be talking with Mr. Arlen Roth, known as one of the masters of the Telecaster. We'll be talking with him shortly. And then in the 5 o'clock hour, I'll be joined by Mr. John Barry of the Poughkeepsie Journal, and we'll talk more about that. So what I want to do is start off with playing some new music by Arlen Roth. He's got a new release. His latest one is called Telemasters. We'll talk about it with him in great detail. The track that we're going to hear is the first track on here, which includes Cindy Cashdollar, which of course is a Hudson Valley girl here. So again, if you're first time tuning into LocalMotion, this show is all about music of the Hudson Valley, musicians that live here, those that come to perform here, as well as those coming to record in our world-class area recording studios. We'll have Arlen Roth on the phone shortly, and in the meantime, let's take a listen to some of his latest music here on 91.3 WVKR, Independent Radio Poughkeepsie. There we go. A great way to get started here on Local Motion with Mr. Arlen Roth, his latest release, Telemasters. That's a track called Remington Ride. That's with Steve Warner and Ms. Cindy Cashdollar, also been a guest on the show quite a few times, and just a wonderful musician and slide player. We're going to keep the music going now with Arlen Roth because he's going to be calling in momentarily, and we're going to have a nice conversation with him during this hour. So stay tuned for Arlen Roth. Let's take a listen to track number 2 off his latest called Telemasters. And the track here is called Key to the Highway. 91.3 WVKR, Independent Radio, Poughkeepsie.
Got the key to the highway, built out and bound to go. I'm gonna leave here running, 'cause walking is most too slow. I'm going back to the border, where I'm better known. Woman, you ain't done nothing but drove a good man away from home. Give me one more kiss, baby. Oh, just before I go, I'm gonna leave this town, and I won't be back no more. Mountain, honey, I'll be on my way. I'm gonna roam this highway until the break of day. I got the key to the highway. Mama, I'm built out and bound to go. I'm gonna leave here running, 'cause walking is most too slow. Play it one time, brother. Woman, you ain't done nothing but drove a good man away from home. Give me one more kiss, baby. Woo, before I go, I'm gonna leave this town, and I won't be back no more. Why say, hey, I got the key to the highway, built out and bound to go. I'm gonna leave here running, 'cause walking is most
91.3 WVKR, Independent Radio, Poughkeepsie, New York. Mr. Arlen Roth, new release titled Telemasters. We've got him on the phone. Let me get him on air. Arlen?
Yes, hello there.
Hello. Thanks for coming back onto LocalMotion here. We've got Arlen Roth on the phone. Thank you.
Oh, great to be here. Love LocalMotion.
Well, thank you.
Love the whole local and motion part of it.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool thing to have the two together. We just heard two of your tracks off of Telemasters. We started it with Remington Ride, of course, which you were joined by Cindy Cash Dollar, another Hudson Valley favorite. And then we just heard Key to the Highway with Jack Pearson. So quite an impressive release you've got here, my friend.
Yeah, thank you. It was a long time coming, and most sessions happen pretty quickly because we did them in Nashville. Everybody's located in Nashville, so I go there,
Right.
And you can get so much done there, in one day, you can get about, 7 or 8 tracks done in just even one day. So most of the players were live, just me and them in the studio just interacting. That's the case with Jack Pearson. I mean, that's one take.
Wow, yeah.
He's known as the one-take man, anyway.
Oh.
He's great. Vocals and guitar. He just did that all in one shot. And I'm there playing off of everybody, and they're all playing off of me. And then there were a couple of guys like Vince Gill and Brad Paisley who were, perpetually on the road. So you got to, send it to them, or you got to wait till they're home so they could do it, or wait till they actually have some time.
Right.
So some of that was... So the album was done very quickly, and then a lot of it took a long time. Some of it took a long time to do, but it's all worth it, and it was just a lot of great playing.
Yeah, a lot of great playing, for sure. For sure. I always like to start with backing up a little bit. I know you've been a guest on the show before, but it was a while ago. Yes. So I always like to say, this is your life, Arlen Roth. So you're a New Yorker. You're from the Bronx, right?
Yeah, originally from New York. Grew up in the Bronx. Spent a lot of time going up to the country and the Catskills over the summers, which were really the times that I would live for. And when I started becoming musical, which was at a very young age, probably 7 or 8, I started tuning in the far-off radio stations up there I could get on a clear night, and I'd get all these wonderful country stations, Wheeling, West Virginia, Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania. And I'd get blues stations from Detroit and things like that. And I would just love, as a kid, tuning in those stations and trying to pick up on the sounds that really mattered to me.
What were you listening to when you were first starting to play guitar?
Oh, geez. Well, my parents kind of promoted the classical and flamenco thing with me, and also folk music. This is around 62, 61, and they were just... big fan. My dad was a cartoonist for the New Yorker magazine, Al Ross, R-O-S-S. And he was a great lover of, when he'd be going through his Picasso periods and stuff, he'd be listening to flamenco in the living room in the Bronx. And he noticed that I started to pick things up. We had a little guitar that had only 2 strings on it from my brother in college. It had 2 strings, so I just figured guitars had 2 strings. I didn't know any better. And so I just started playing little harmonies on those strings, and I used to take my mother's lipstick cover and play slide on those 2 strings.
There you go.
And, I probably saw it on TV, maybe on the Arthur Godfrey show or something, somebody playing, Hawaiian guitar. So, then once I discovered there was actually supposed to be 6 strings, I'm like, oh, this is incredible, So I just started, I took a few classical lessons down in Greenwich Village with my dad, and the teacher kicked me out when I bought an electric guitar. She said, no, you can't own an electric guitar. You gotta get out of here. So she gets me to see this guy who's, in the East Village, some real hip guy, who was in a 5-story walk-up, I think on McDougal Street or something. And he's going to teach me electric guitar. So I go up there, and my dad's downstairs in his car eating a slice of pizza, And I go up and I have to wake up the guy. The guy's sleeping.
Oh, my God.
Then he gets on the phone and he starts talking for a half hour to a friend of his. Then he goes to the refrigerator and he grabs a salami and has it for breakfast. And I'm sitting there. I'm just this patient little 8-year-old boy, like waiting to have his lesson. I'm like, oh, my God. And then he says, all right, play something for me. Finally, he pays attention to me. Play something for me. So I start playing. He goes, get out of here. He goes, you're better than me.
Oh.
Get out of here. You're better. And I wasn't that good at that age, really. But get out of here. You already know more. So that's it. He just said goodbye. And that was it. That was the last time I ever even tried to take a lesson.
Really?
But,
so the rest of it is just pretty much self-taught?
Yeah, well, lessons in life, just
Right.
learning on stage. I mean, even when my first days in Woodstock, when I was 16 and 17, I would just jump up on stage and I say, well, I know these people are all like 20 and 30 years older than me, but I think I've got something that they haven't heard before.
Right. So how many hours a day were you practicing?
Well, I never considered it practice.
Mm-hmm.
I played. I would play sometimes like 3 or 4 hours a day. And, of course, whenever I play in front of people, I learned even more because you learn by that experience of communicating and their reactions and what sounds right, what sounds wrong, Go to a recording studio, play on a session. The guy says, man, I really love that 10th you played. You just played that beautiful 10th. I'm like, oh, that's a 10th. Okay. I'll remember that inversion is a 10th. It's like when you have to do it for your life and you care about it so much and it's really survival, your ear kind of follows your heart. It's like you want to do it, you need to do it, you know that you hear all these wonderful things that you want to express, and then the ear is learning as you're going along. So I was very fortunate to be playing with a lot of people when I was so it was kind of like being born into it, and a lot of that happened for me in the early days in New York, and then also when I first went to Woodstock. And I said, because I'm going to come up here because everybody's and I'll be able to meet everybody.
Right, right.
Like 69, 70.
Right.
So that was a really exciting time for me where I'm learning like exponentially from everything that I'm hearing, and it still goes on. That's something that better actually as you get older.
Right.
I believe.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Now, music was always what you wanted to do with your life as far as a career. You never thought of doing anything but?
Well, I was at college and for photography and film.
Oh, nice.
But I never thought of anything as career at that age. I come from a family of all artists and not much money. Mm-hmm. So it was never about the money that could be made my career just started developing from one step to another.
Right.
It's like next thing I knew, I had published 3 books.
And you published your first book by the age of 21, huh?
Yeah, Happy Traum. Happy got me to write a section of one of his books when I was like 17. Mm-hmm. And then it was a flat pick country guitar book, and he wanted something about my string bending, because he had never heard anybody bend strings like I did. So I wrote this section on pedal steel licks, and I was so proud. I'm holding that book, and there's a picture of me in there. I'm 19 years old, or whatever it was. And next thing I know, I get a call saying that, Music Sales, Oak Publications down in New York, wanted to do a book about pedal steel, dobro, and slide guitar. And they wanted me to do the slide guitar.
Wow.
And I went in there, and I was very excited, very cocky young kid. And I go in there, and I bring my guitar, my National Steel guitar with me. And the first thing I said to them was, I said, look, those have to be 3 separate books. You can't do one giant book on these 3 major subjects and expect somebody to buy all 3 in one.
Right.
So they said, you're right. So next thing I know, I walked out of there with not only a deal for slide guitar, but also a deal for a book called Nashville Guitar, which is still considered like the book of that particular genre.
Yeah.
And a book on blues guitar. And I was like 19 years old. I'm walking out of there like I was on cloud 9. I couldn't believe it.
I bet. Wow.
I was so excited, and I'm like, how is it that I know all this stuff?
Right.
it's like at that point, really, I'd been playing for nearly 11 years, even when I was 19. So I had accumulated so much knowledge from listening to a lot of records and, researching. So when you get into something like the blues or early country music, you just can't get enough. You start delving into it all, and you want to absorb it all, and you love it all.
Right.
So it was a good time for me, in terms of my development, and also it helped develop my sort of fan base and reputation right away, because people are still buying those books even now.
Wow, that's amazing. That is absolutely amazing. Yeah, it really, really is. I just want to tell people
come to me at gigs.
Yeah,
go ahead.
I just want to tell people, if they're just tuning in, we've got Arlen Roth, one of the masters of the Telecaster, on the phone with us here. So in case people just tune in, that's what we're doing here. So when did the Telecaster come into play?
It was all really very innocently. I was playing a Stratocaster, a 54 Stratocaster, which is one of the first ones, which I found in the trunk of a car in Woodstock, New York, and for $75. And my friend said to me, I'm thinking of buying it. I said, well, I could tell you I'll buy it right now. Okay, you can have it, $75. So I played that for a number of years. It was my main guitar from 71 to 75. Then in 75, I was on the road with John Prine. I was his lead guitar player. And I was sort of turned on to the look of like a Blackguard Telecaster, like Jeff Beck was holding on the Yardbirds cover.
Uh-huh.
And actually, that's an Esquire, which is a one pickup version. And I said, I just really want to get something like that. So a friend of mine from out on Long Island had told me that there was this guy from Boston who was going to drive down to New York City with a bunch of Telecasters in his car, and he'd have one like that if I wanted to check it out. So he drove down. I was living on 82nd Street in Manhattan, and he drove down with his car, and I remember he had like 9 Telecasters in his car.
Jeez.
And he couldn't find a spot. So I said, well, I'm on the street and I'm just trying them out acoustically. And
right on the street. I love it.
Right on the street, right on 82nd. And I said, well, this one feels nice and light, and this one has a good acoustic sound. So I picked up my 53, which I still have also. And that's how I got it. And once I started playing it, everybody said to me, there's something about you and that guitar. Mm-hmm. So the first gig I ever played with it was a gig in Washington, D.C., which is appropriate because that's really Telecaster country. And I was with John Prine and Ramblin' Jack Elliott and Leon Redbone, and that was some weekend. All of us just wandering around D.C., that crazy crew.
You got pictures of that, John, Arlen? Do you have pictures of that?
I don't really have pictures, but when poor John Prine, when he passed recently,
yeah.
I put out a word on Facebook. I said, does anybody have a picture from that tour that I did? And somebody did come up with one photograph of me on stage with John Prine playing that Strat. So that was before I even got to Kelly. But so that was great. And so at least now I have photographs of me from that tour, but not me and John or me on stage with him. Right. So that one surfaced, and that was good to see.
Just random. But, may I ask, or do you even know how many Telecasters you currently own?
Well, believe it or not, I still only have that real original one of mine.
The 54?
1953.
Oh, 53.
53.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
53. But I have many others that are tributes to the Telecaster or are custom Telecasters that have been made for me since then. Like when I was on the Simon & Garfunkel tour, Phil Kubicki, who was a great builder out in California, made me a Wildwood Telecaster, and it's this wood that Fender had called Wildwood, where they actually would inject the trees with color while they were growing.
Wow!
So you got these really wild patterns in the wood, and so when he left Fender, he used to work for Fender. He left with a bunch of sheets of that, so he made me a beautiful top like that of a Tele that he made for me, and I remember I used that on the movie Crossroads. And the first time Ry Cooder saw me take that out of the case, he was like, "Oh God, that is so beautiful, Arlen," like that. And so I used that on all that Crossroads stuff. But that became my main touring guitar and recording guitar for many years after that. So I have a bunch of them. Peavy made me some. I had some custom ones. I used to have my own company. When I had the Hot Licks instructional videos, I also got into Hot Licks guitars
Yeah.
and amplifiers too. So I have a few of those. So all told, maybe there's one real Telecaster and probably about 8 or 9, faux Telecasters or takes on the Telecaster. And the one that I use mostly now is one that was built by a guy out in Spain named Nacho Baños, and he wrote the big fat book on the Telecaster called The Blackguard. And I have one of those books, and what they do is they emblazon the serial number of your guitar on the cover. So I've got, boom, it's like stamped on the cover, and there's a picture of me in the book, me, Danny Gatton, Bruce Springsteen, all these different people who played blackguards.
Right.
Blackguard meaning it's a Telecaster with the black pickguard. That's why they call it blackguard. So yeah, it's very exciting stuff. And but yeah, once I started playing it on the John Prine tour, then it was like the Strat was still around, but then the Tele kind of took over like 70 to 80% of the work.
Right. Right. And now, of course, you're known for pretty much just your Telecaster.
Yeah, they like to pin that kind of name on it.
That's okay. That's a good name to get pinned on. Yeah.
Well, Master of the Telecaster. The first one who called himself Master of the Telecaster was Albert Collins, and then everybody else started getting called that. And it's what I liked about this album was I said, these guys are all masters of the Telecaster.
Yeah.
And that's why I want the Telemaster term is something that I coined when Danny Gatton did his first video for me. And I said, Danny, we're just going to call it Telemaster.
Right.
And he liked that idea. So
I like the idea. That's a great idea. And I like the cover, too. You see, I'm old school, like I said. And you very kindly sent me a CD. So I don't do the old download stuff, but I'm hopefully someday going to do it. But anyway, it's just so cool to see all the players on here. And it's going to
look great. I mean, if I ever do a vinyl version, it'll be nice because then the size, the artwork will be just phenomenal.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, really beautifully done. Hey, I want to go back a little. You quickly mentioned it that you were also behind the film, the blues film Crossroads. How did you get to be part of that?
Well, there were two opinions as to how it happened, but I got a call one day from Walter Hill, who was the director, saying that Ry Cooder told him I was the guy, to do the movie. So I said, well, that's interesting, because I had a sort of a thing that went down with Ry Cooder in 1979, a touring thing that never panned out, and it turned out to be a little bit of a bad situation and whatnot, when I was writing a book about Cooder. So then he said, well, Ry Cooder is telling me that you're the guy on the East Coast to teach Ralph Macchio to be this actor, to be this guitar player in this movie that's about Robert Johnson. So you're going to have to, it was a really big undertaking. I had to go to his house on Long Island 4 days a week and teach him for 4 hours a day for 2 straight months.
Whoa.
So that was like 6 days. And, as I'd be leaving, his karate instructor would be coming in,
Wow, yeah, that's some serious training.
2 different movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
But the thing about Ralph was, Ralph wanted to be, he wanted to actually play in film, which you could never make somebody be that good in 2 months,
Right.
But I did make him good enough to fake it. And then I knew that whenever he played something, he was playing me, and I was like, okay, that wasn't good. He'd be like, I know, I missed the B string, I missed the G string, whatever it would be. He was really learning very well. So I was teaching him classical, slide, blues, finger picking, everything for the movie, and it was according to the script. But what happened was great. Like, we'd be down in Mississippi shooting, and like Walter Hill would say, on this scene, I really want Ralph to be playing. So I'd be like, okay, and I would just make up a piece on the spot to make it more interesting, that he'd be playing while talking or playing while walking. And then, Ralph would say, Arlen, don't make it too hard. Don't make it too hard. I said, don't worry, because I knew exactly what to play for him, because I knew what he could fake.
Right.
I knew the parameters of what he could look like he was playing.
Right. You knew what he was capable of course. Yeah, because you had spent so much
we
time.
wanted to make it really believable.
Right.
Movie, you know.
Right.
And so that's how I would do it. And sometimes I'd be in the middle of a Mississippi cotton field at like 6 a.m. with a battery-powered amp, and I'd be playing a piece that he would soon have to mime while acting that day. You know, so it was on a day-to-day basis. And even the things I would do when I was making the movie would end up in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like I went to this one club in Greenville, Mississippi. I sat in, and it was like the kind of place where, you know, they'd never seen a white guy walk on the stage in maybe ever.
Right.
You know.
Right.
And I went up there and I played with all these different people. With Son Thomas, Frank Frost and the Wonders, which is how I got Frank Frost in the movie. This is all going on for a long, long time before Ry Cooder's even been involved at all. You know, Ry was the musical director, but Ry was working on Brewster's Millions, another movie at that time.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm there in Mississippi, and like I start getting harassment because I'm playing on stage, and they're like, "Hey, you think it's a big shot?" And the next thing I know, Ralph says, "I want that in the movie." But Arlen just went through, "I want that in the film." So they wrote a piece in the movie just about that, where he kind of goes to the other side of the tracks, and he's this little white kid trying to, you know, play where all these black blues musicians are and stuff, and, you know,
right.
It became part of the movie, just as I was doing it right there. So it was an unbelievable experience. But, yeah, when I first got the call...
What year did that come out?
It came out in early 86. We did it in 85,
mm-hmm.
and then it came out early 86. I think like maybe February or March.
I got it.
86.
Yeah.
And it bombed. It bombed right away. You know.
Right.
But it became a cult movie. You know, it's like a cult film that every guitar player in the world seems to know about.
Right. Yeah. Sure. Now, online lessons. You've been known for doing those as well. Right?
Long before online.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Long before there was an internet. I mean, I was the first one to do, you know, the video lessons with Hot Licks.
Right.
Started in 84.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, I was shooting some of those first ones. I was doing Crossroads. When I was working with Ralph Macchio, I'd go out to Long Island and teach him, and then I would actually film some on Long Island.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I remember we had John Entwistle of The Who was with me, and Ralph was so excited. Ralph was like, I got to go meet a member of The Who, you know. So Ralph was there, too, and stuff. But, yeah, we started with audio tapes back in 79.
Yeah.
And then in 84, we went into video.
Right. And then when the internet came, that gave you a whole new opportunity, right, with the online lessons?
It did. I mean, what I did, after the company was long gone, I got called by Gibson Guitars, and they wanted me to do online lessons for them that were just like sort of became like a huge archive, you know. They were like, we're going to call it Arlen Roth's Daily Lesson. I'm like, daily? Oh, my God. So I would go down to Nashville. I remember one day I shot 120 lessons in one day.
Oh, my. How do you even do that?
Well, they're short. They're like little 5 to 7 minute ditties, you know. So I just bang them out, and then have lunch, then bang out another 60 or 70, you know.
Right.
And then I say, wait a minute, maybe I'm going too fast here. Maybe they're going to eat all this up in like 2 seconds, and they'll fire me right away, you know. So, but what happened was, of course, it wasn't daily because people couldn't tune in daily.
Sure.
So they just ended up, you know, then it became lesson of the week, then lesson of the month, and then it stretched out for like 6 years, and now I think they still have them online now because I was also doing 2 blogs a day for them, mm-hmm. where I would write about my life, and I'd write about the life of a musician and the right things to do as a musician and the wrong things and experiences, you know.
Right, different experiences. Now,
when I said to Ron Woods, he said, "Oh, tips." It's all summed up in one word, tips.
Are you working on a biography?
Yeah, I am. I keep trying to, you know, do it. My problem is I love to tell the stories so much, and then you get a lot more offshoots of the stories, and I find it harder to sit and do all that and be that kind of off the cuff when I'm typing.
Right.
You know.
Right.
It's also not that easy for a guitar player with long nails. I don't know, but
right. Have somebody do it for you.
A lot of wrong letters.
Have somebody
What?
do it. Have somebody do it for you. Transcribe it.
I know. I've been trying.
You can always record into like whatever,
Yeah.
and then just have somebody transcribe it for you.
Yeah, well, I've been trying to do that for years. I need to find somebody who I can actually tell it to, like an audience,
Yes.
and then who can take it down, record, and then write it.
Yes. Exactly.
That's what I need.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, I love writing. I've written a lot of books. I love writing, but this one I think deserves more to be told.
Right.
You know?
Well, if anybody's
Maybe
listening,
the audio version of it would, what?
and maybe if anybody's listening that wants to do this, Arlen, they can reach out to you.
That's right. They'll
Yeah.
make millions from it. Millions.
Oh, that's great. ArlenRoth.com. I want to start talking about this release because it's very, very impressive. And again, Arlen's website, let me throw that out there, is ArlenRoth.com. So we're obviously in an unprecedented time here for the arts, for the world, for everything.
Yes.
I know you had some tour dates like everybody that is now postponed and all of that.
Yeah, it's
so
terrible.
it is. But I still am here to tell listeners we can still support musicians and the arts. People can still go to your website and buy music directly from you. Right? And
That's right,
and sign up for a mailing list. And when the shows start, buy a ticket, go see a show. And we need to continue to support the arts during this time, maybe now more so than ever, And I just heard,
it's really amazing.
Yeah. And we just need to step up. So ArlenRoth.com, check it out, buy some merchandise, buy a CD or two. If you've got friends' birthdays coming up, you can always mail them to them. I mean, there's still ways to enjoy music. Absolutely. And this CD is just, let's talk about some of the people that you have on here. I'll start by reading some of the cover. You've got Brad Paisley, you've got Steve Cropper, Johnny Highland, Albert Lee, Joe Bonamassa, Bill Kirchen, Jerry Donahue, Vince Gill. I mean, come on, Arlen. This is an amazing compilation of musicians that you have here. Congratulations on putting all this together. I know you had some help with your producer, but it's a lot of work to get something like this together. So,
sure. Well, Tom Hambridge produced it, who's great. He also produced my Slide Guitar Summit, which was like this, only for slide guitar,
right,
with Johnny Winter and Leroy Parnell and Cindy Castoller and people like that, and we're all playing slide. So this was a natural follow-up to it. I guess the biggest kick for me is the fact that, I'm thinking, what, these folks are ready to line up to be on this album with me? It's like, I feel so humbled by it, because it's like, they're all talking about, Steve Warner's going, I used to buy all Arlen's videos so my kids could learn guitar, and you start finding out stories that you didn't even know, and some of them are connected to me from the old days, like we played together a lot, like me and Albert Lee, we toured with Duane Eddy, and I've known Albert forever, since he was playing with Joan Armatrading,
Wow.
And
nice.
First time I met he and Jerry Donahue, I was playing in Philadelphia with Tony Bird, who was a wonderful African artist who I played with for a few years, and Joan Armatrading was on the bill too. Mm-hmm. And there's Albert Lee and Jerry Donahue playing in this band. I'm like, oh my God, Right. So we would hang out backstage and play a lot, and then when you go to those NAMM shows in California and Chicago and all that, then you always end up jamming with these people and hanging out with them. And Cropper and I go back to the John Prine album that he was producing Prine when I joined Prine's band.
Wow. Yeah.
So he goes, I know Arlen's a bad boy. Like that. And I'm like, well, why don't you let me play in the session like Bonnie Raitt's outside? She's like, come on, man, let Arlen play. I was just arrived in California, and I'm out there. There's one guitar overdub left on the album, and I'm out in the hallway. And Bonnie Raitt comes in and says, come on, man, Arlen is there. The studio had, who was in the studio? All of the Eagles, Jackson Browne, Bonnie Raitt,
wow,
all of them, and there's Cropper, and I'm waiting to play this guitar overdub. I'm saying, if I could just do one good thing right now,
this is it.
They all want to hire me.
Right, right.
And And Bonnie remembered. I mean, to this day, me and Bonnie, we just played together up in Martha's Vineyard for a memorial for our dear friend Harold Beagle, who passed away, who was the guy that was, raising all the money for those rhythm and blues artists over the years, like Ruth Brown and Charles Brown, all those people. So Bonnie's there like, come on, man, Arlen's got it down.
Aww.
Instead, they gave it to Glenn Fry, and Glenn Fry was sitting there for like hours trying to do what I had. But still, it was a great experience, and
Yeah,
Jackson
absolutely.
Brown was super nice. Jackson was super nice to me.
Yeah.
And,
Oh, man, sounds
all,
amazing.
All of them were great.
Yeah.
It was amazing. It was, great. And there I am thrust into this. I was like 21 years old. All of a sudden I'm in California. I'm in the studio with like everybody.
Right.
Like, what's going on here?
Yeah, you had a lot of good things happen to you. That's for sure. Musically, it's like, wow.
Yeah.
You're in the right place at the right time. But this release, I commend you on it. The Telemasters, and up in the upper right-hand corner, it says dedicated to all the historic Telemasters. And boy, anybody that loves guitars, gotta check this out. You have a total of 16 tracks on here. Just, man, you rip it up. And again, the people that are on here, just check it out. ArlenRoth.com. Buy it from him directly when you can, and keep up. And you got any idea of, I guess you don't yet, of rescheduled tour dates or anything? Probably not yet.
Well,
right?
a couple of them got pushed up, like I was going to play May 30th in Boston, and that at the Regent Theater, and that just got pushed to July 24th.
Mm-hmm.
That's me and Duke Robillard. He's going to be with his band. I'll be with mine. But we'll see if that actually really happens,
right?
Because that's July 24th in Boston, and Massachusetts and Boston have been really terrible in terms of the virus.
Right.
So,
right. Yeah. As far as gatherings, we don't know that that's going to happen, but people can just always go onto your website, follow you on Facebook, and all those good things, and keep up with it, and support this music.
Yeah, I mean,
it's really good.
The gigs will start coming in again. It's just hard too, because even my students, the students that I teach in person, they can't come around either.
No.
So,
are you doing like the Zoom lessons or Skype or FaceTime?
I try it. I try it. I've got a couple of people signed up, but my normal students who come every week, they only want it in person. I say, come on, support me, help me.
Right.
We're going to be on the computer. We're used to communicating, but the problem is that everybody now has less money to spend on something.
Absolutely. So, everybody's affected. Everybody. So
everybody's affected.
Yeah.
It's a domino effect. And but, when you do an album like this, like, for example, my follow-up is I've got an album now with John Sebastian, a duet album of he and I.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like 95% done at this point.
Awesome.
So
please keep me posted when it gets released, so we can
sure.
give it a spin
Very
here.
Exciting albums, all vintage spoonful stuff, but we've done it in a new way, me and John, and we just have such a blast playing together. We've done a lot of live gigs together, and we were up at Bethel Woods together a couple of years ago, and just he and I on stage. Sometimes he'll do a gig with like me and my band.
Right.
Too.
Yeah, good stuff.
And I love the guy. I've known him for a million years, Woodstock and beyond.
We're lucky to have John Sebastian as a resident here in the Hudson Valley. Pretty good stuff.
Absolutely.
So listen, what I want to do is I want to play some more of your music. So before the hour ends, because I have another guest coming as well. But Arlen, I just want to say it's been an honor talking with you. Thank you so much for your time. And ArlenRoth.com, Facebook, Arlen Roth, Instagram, all those good things. And again, support musicians by going to their website, maybe take a lesson or buy some music or merchandise from them, and then keep us posted when you've got shows starting back up, Arlen. So stay safe and be well, and thank you for all the wonderful music you've given us all over the years.
My pleasure.
I'm going to play Bunky now.
Oh, great. Love it. Okay.
All right. Sounds good. All right. We'll talk with you next time, Arlen, and thanks for everything.
Thank you, Rita. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Mr. Arlen Roth here on LocalMotion 91.3 WVKR. It is 4:50 p.m. Check out this. I'm telling you, I'm blown away. 16 tracks on this CD by Arlen called Telemasters. And like I said, some of the people on here include Joe Bonamassa, Albert Lee, Vince Gill, Steve Cropper, Cindy Cashdollar is on here. Just a whole bunch of great guitarists. And you can go to his website, support his music. Let's take a listen to one more track of this CD. It's called Bunky, right here on 91.3 WVKR, Independent Radio Poughkeepsie. .3 WVKR, Independent Radio, Poughkeepsie, New York. That's called Bunky with Brad Paisley and Mr. Arlen Roth's latest release, Telemasters. Thanks again to Arlen for spending this hour with us. His new CD, the latest, Telemasters, is just remarkable. I'm telling you, there's 16 tracks, amazing guest artists. You can check out arlenroth.com. Again, if you can support live music, not live music at this time, but if you can support musicians, it's still possible to do so by buying merchandise. So maybe consider buying this great CD. We just heard the track again, and it was called Bunky, and we heard two more tracks. The start of the show, which was at 4:00. So if you missed part of the interview with Arlen Roth, that it was recorded, and we'll be uploading it later this evening on the LocalMotion Facebook page, and it'll also be hopefully on YouTube or on Mixcloud.com. So that's what's going on. It's 4:54. You're tuned into LocalMotion. I am your host, Rita Ryan, here every Wednesday from 4 to 6 p.m. We're live in studio. Guests are all, of course, on the phone. phone. And I have two guests today. I couldn't just stop with one. I've got two coming in. Mr. John Barry of the Poughkeepsie Journal will be joining me in about 15 minutes. So up until he does, we're going to keep playing music because this show is all about music of the Hudson Valley, musicians that live here and those coming to perform in our studios. So let's keep going here with a group with Lara and her husband. They do a live stream every single Monday. Let's take a listen to Lara Hope and the Arctones right here, right now on 91.3 WVKR, Independent Radio, Poughkeepsie.
Gotta make a deal, you're gonna beg, cheat and steal. Now how's that gonna make your mama feel? Well, it's either fast, cheap, or well done, fast, cheap, or well done. It's either fast, cheap, or well done, fast, cheap, or well done. You gotta pick two, that's the way they do. It's either fast, cheap, or well done. Economy is going south, and it's a shame that your generation's gonna get pushed out. So unless you wanna drive a car with three wheels and play a broken guitar, you better pay, you better wait, you better wish upon a star. 'Cause if you don't have the cash, then you better have the time, or you're gonna get the trash. Made like they were in the past. Well, it's either fast, cheap, or well done, fast, cheap, or well done. It's either fast, cheap, or well done, fast, cheap, or well done. You gotta pick two, that's the way they do. It's either fast, cheap, or well done. Wow! Well done, fast, cheap, well done. You gotta pick two, that's the way they do. It's either fast, cheap, well done, fast, cheap, well done, fast, cheap, well done. It's fast, cheap, well done. It's either fast, cheap, well done. You gotta pick two, 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 or they'll give you hell.
the world is waiting. Maybe if you change your mind, you can leave it behind without the colors fading. Twice I told you about 1,000 times. You can flip a coin and play your life, but you can never do the same with mine. I know I'm the bad guy, and I can live with it for now. I'm still looking for a good way out. I'm still looking for a good way out.
At 91.3 WVKR Independent Radio, Poughkeepsie, New York. The Restless Age, really great Hudson Valley group comprised of Lee Falco, Brandon Morrison, and Will Bryant. We just heard their single Good Way Out, doing lots of live streams, Restless Ages. You can follow them on social media, The Restless Age, and check them out. Such great harmonies and top-notch players. They were the backup band for Donald Fagen when he did a tour a couple of years ago, Donald Fagen and the Night Flyers. Well, these guys were the Night Flyers, and we're so proud of the Hudson Valley musicians, and that's them. That's them, the Restless Age. We got started there with Lara Hope and the Arctones with Love You to Life. Fast, Cheap, and Well Done is the track that we just heard, and this was released a couple of years ago. I know she's working on a new release. Look forward to getting a copy of that. Lara Hope was the winner of the 2017 Ameripolitan Music Award for Best Female Rockabilly Artist. LaraHope.net. Her and her husband, Matt Goldpow, are doing Monday night live streams each and every Monday night. Remember, we can still keep supporting musicians. While we can't go out and see live music, we can support them when they're doing live streams. We can also go to their websites and buy merchandise. So check out Lara Hope and the Arctones. And it is 5:04. You are tuned into 91.3 WVKR, broadcasting live from the Vassar College campus here at WVKR. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We'll be here until 6 o'clock. Here each and every Wednesday from 4 to 6 p.m. And we're going to play some more music. And in about 10 minutes or so, we will be speaking with music writer and arts writer of the Poughkeepsie Journal, Mr. John Barry. Really look forward to having him on air with me soon. He comes on typically about 3 times a year. And we talk about, this time it would have been scheduled to talk about all the summer festivals. But obviously that's not going to happen. So we've got lots of other things to talk about how to continue to support live music here in the Hudson Valley and all over. So let's get started with some music right now by the lovely and talented Ms. Cindy Cashdollar. Her latest release is called Waltz for Abilene, and this was a track that she did with Arlen Roth, who of course was my guest during the 4 o'clock hour. So they play on each other's music a lot. Let's take a listen to Cindy Cashdollar, In the Heart of This Town. 91.3 WVKR, Independent Radio, Poughkeepsie.